1 minute to the show.
Okay. That's okay that you can't do it. We'll announce the random share giveaway winner on the show tomorrow. So you can't be here during the show because you got your Skype meeting thing. That's okay. I'll be all right. You think you'll be done by the time the show is almost over? People like to see the dogs. All right, you try. I'll yell for the dogs, and if you open the door, I know the dogs will be there. Okay. No, it's like 15, 20 seconds yet. Yeah. Trailblazers next weekend. Johnny Hansen's being inducted. I can make an announcement on that next week on the show. Yep. All right. Listen for me to yell for the dogs.
You're live.
Good evening, everyone. It is Wednesday, March 23rd. You're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. Let's get down to the starting line. I'll tell you a little bit more about what you're going to see on the show tonight. And the next time try this segment, I've got a little tip for you on vintage Coney shocks. In the Moto Showcase, we take a look at a beautiful Mako. And here's the problem. We've got 3 questions. One of them is pertaining to a Mikuni carburetor. In the What's It Worth segment, we take a look at a 1989 Kawasaki KX125. We've got all that and a whole lot more coming up on Vintage Motocross Q&A. You're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A, and I'm your host, Joe Abadi. Thank you for joining me tonight, and thank you, Jordan, Chelsea, and Susie, for helping me put the show together. Let's get a look at what's going to be on tonight's show. Oh, that's right. We have to share the show, don't we? Don't forget, keep sharing the show, whether you're on Facebook or you're on YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, comment Motion Pro. We will be giving away a beautiful sticker sheet just like this, compliments of Vinco, and we'll be announcing that winner on the show tomorrow. So go to the page tomorrow, Vintage Motocross Q&A, and you'll see who won this beautiful sticker sheet. Our YouTube channel is going really, really well. We appreciate everyone that has subscribed so far. If you have not, please go over there. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll be able to see all of our past shows. You'll get a little alert just like this, tells you when we're live on YouTube. And how are the pros watching the show? How are the experts watching it? They're sitting back and watching Vintage Motocross Q&A on their big screen TV. That's right, watching on the big screen TV, commenting from your phone. It's very convenient and a lot of fun. Great way to watch Vintage Motocross Q&A. As always, I want to thank our sponsors, Motion Pro Vinco, Racer X, Preston Petty Products, Full Circle Racing, Bill's Pipes, Northwest Mako CZ, and Sunrise Vapor Blasting. And the next time, try this segment tonight. I want to talk to you about something that I just learned the other day about Coney shocks, vintage Coney shocks. Okay, I bought a set, and when I received them in the box, it seemed that the damping was very, very harsh. Like I couldn't even push them down with the springs on. It was even difficult with the springs off. Now I got a hold of a nice gentleman, and he helped me. He works for a company called Icon now, which is a play on the word Coney, K-O-N-I, Icon, I-K-O-N. Anyway, that's not important right now. But anyway, he explained to me that there is an adjustment on these shocks. So what I learned was that if you take the springs off, just like this, then remove the eye from the top and take off the bumper, it will look just like this. When you push it down all the way to the bottom, you can actually hear it click. And you can set your damping for these shocks. So if you have a bike with the shocks that are moved up a little bit, you want to make them a little bit stiffer, you turn them to the right. If you have a smaller bike, something that you want to have a little less rebound on, a little bit of a smoother ride, you turn them to the left, and you can hear that click when it does that. I was going to make a video, but it's so faint really that you can't even tell. But anyway, if you have a set of older Coney shocks that look like this, they are adjustable, not only from the bottom, the adjuster that's on the bottom for the spring, but also from the top if you want to adjust the rebound. So if you have an old set of Coney shocks just like that, next time, try that if you want to adjust them. Vinco's got a great little special going on this week. They've got some Yamaha YZ80 revalve kits, okay? Fits the 85 and 86. It's just $35.95, and reeds can really, really help your bike run so much better. So if you got an older bike, you don't think you've ever had the reeds changed, or it's time to take a look at them, get a hold of Vinco, $35.95. Great little upgrade for your bike. Thanks, Vinco. In the Moto Showcase tonight, we take a look at a 1972 Mako 400. This is a really fun story. The bike was sent in to us by Joseph Burnfield. I'm going to read to you a little bit about the bike. Jordan's going to go through the slides. Joe Burnfield writes to me, "Hey Joe, here's a description of my 72 Mako 400 that I vintage raced. I hope the pictures and everything in the description are all okay. After getting hooked on racing motocross in the 1960s, I bought and raced the 71 Mako 400. I love that bike, so a few years ago, at the age of 70, I discovered vintage motocross racing, and I knew that I had to have another Mako again. I decided I was going to race the plus 70 class. I was lucky enough to find a 72 Mako 400 on Craigslist in Oregon. We hauled it back to Wyoming. To make it race ready, I put on a new pipe rebuilt with a higher seat foam, and I added a Mikuni carburetor, Olin shocks, wider foot pegs, and a few other bits. The forks had to be sent off to be hard chromed, and since the tubes were a little bit rusted. It came with an aluminum coffin tank that looked great, but it was really bruising my inner thighs. I tried a new narrower aluminum tank and I had the same result, so I found an original fiberglass tank on eBay. I coated the inside with Caswell epoxy gas sealer and a rattle can paint job, and everything else was done in Rust-Oleum orange. The wheels were rebuilt and polished by Full Circle Racing. It's got Buchanan spokes, nipples, new bearings, and brake shoes and Michelin tires. The engine didn't require anything since it had been rebuilt just a short time before I bought the bike. I've raced it at many, many events from Idaho to Oregon to California to Arizona, and I absolutely love the handling and the power. Thanks for bringing us Vintage Motocross Q&A, Joe. I love the program, and I never miss a show. Well, thank you, Joe Burnfield, Armin number 57, 70 years old, out there still enjoying that Mako. Joe, get a hold of me with your address. I will get you a beautiful coffee cup just like this, compliments of Preston Petty Products and Vintage Motocross Q&A. Joe Burnfield, great story. Preston Petty Products. Yeah, they are still looking for dealers, so get a hold of Preston Petty Products or Paul Stannard if you want to become a dealer. Now, we've got a really, really great show special happening again this week. God said, let there be light, and there was light. Preston Petty said, let's make a light for the guys. Let's have it where it has a sealed battery where we can hook it up right to the bike with no wires, and that's what Preston Petty got. This is the last project that Preston Petty worked on before he passed away. Now, this light has 1,200 lumens of light. It's very, very bright. You could see it sitting right behind me. Preston Petty was the designer of this light. He and Paul Stannard, along with Mike Murphy, saw this thing come to fruition. Now, the light has a sealed battery. It does have spares that you can buy. It comes with a charger. As you can see how bright it is behind me, and it comes with a tail light as well. Very, very easy to hook up on your bike. There's a special going on this week. The tail light is included, plus a set of GP grips. So you're going to get the headlight number plate combination with the seal beam with the battery. You're going to get the tail light hookup, and you're going to get a set of GP grips. That's $169.95 this week at Preston Petty Products. There is a code only for people who are watching the show. There it is right on the screen. Very simple, 12345. When you go over to Preston Petty Products, you put the coupon code in. This thing usually sells for $239, so that's quite a savings, down to $169.95. Now, we had that special running a few weeks ago where it was just the headlight number plate combo. We had a special on that. There were only 20 of them available, sold out within 3 days. There's only 15 available. for this combination. So get over the Preston Petty products right now. Use the coupon code 169.95. You get the grips too. Thank you, Paul Standard and Preston Petty Products. Of course, Mike Murphy and everyone there who does such a great job of bringing us these specials and these wonderful products. In the Here's the Problem segment tonight, we take a look at some questions that you have sent in over the last couple of weeks. Jordan, what do we have up first? Doug Nemeth, after riding on a clean air filter one time, is it safe to use it again after sitting for a month? I see absolutely no reason why not, Doug, unless you've ridden in some really, really brutally rough conditions where there's a lot of wood chips, a lot of dust. If your filter looked like this, I would suggest cleaning it. But if you just went out on a leisurely ride, you were out in the grass somewhere, or you were out on a really moist track, there'd be no problem with running your filter again after 30 days. Would I pop off the seat or the side panel just to take a look in there to be sure? Yeah, I would. But there's no reason why you couldn't run a filter on your bike more than one time after only running it an hour, as long as it wasn't in extreme conditions. Andy Nickel, I recently had a head soda blasted and was going to go with the unpainted look. It's tarnished now. Will anything bring it back up? Nothing will bring it back up, okay? If you had the head vapor blasted, it would last a good long time. But even then, even with vapor blasting, after a while, depending on where you ride, different types of clay, different types of mud, it can discolor. So no, there really is no way to bring it back up. And I think we have a picture of it here, Jordan, don't we? Yeah, there it is right there. And that's the actual head that Andy Nichols sent in to us. And as you can see, he had it soda blasted, and it does leave kind of a stained look to it. Now, what you can use is this product right here. It's called Alumablast, and it is a paint that looks very, very, very much like natural aluminum or a bead blasted look. If you hit it with that, it's really, really good stuff. It's high temperature stuff too. So if you hit it with that, it'll give you the look that you're looking for, okay? But to return that, to make it shinier or make it cleaner looking, there's nothing that's gonna do it, especially, there's no way to really, really get down in those fins. Jeff Kokoski. Jeff always sends in some interesting questions. And Jeff says, this week my buddy Ron and I are working on a 1980 Suzuki RM 250 with a Mikuni carburetor. There is no air screw. Actually, the question goes on a little bit longer than that, but Jeff sent in some pictures, and there is no air screw on this bike, this 1989 RM 250. And there is a hole in the side of the carburetor on your bikes from 1989 and newer. You may notice that there is a hole there, and there is no air screw in there where you would normally find one. That may seem unusual. You may think it's missing, but it's not. Even on some bikes, you may see where there's a rubber plug they have put in there. Why is that? Did I ever see this before? Jeff wants to know. Yeah, I have seen it. And the U.S. EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, in their infinite wisdom in 1989, mandated that adjustments affecting emissions needed to be made tamper-proof on later models, so either the adjustment is limited in range or is non-accessible from normal tools. Now, on the back of your carburetor, you can get to the air screw mixture and the pilot jet. But of course, you have to take off the air boot, you might have to take off the carburetor, and you may need some real special tools to get down in there. But in 1989, that's what the EPA mandated. They didn't want anyone changing any type of mixture that would affect emissions. So it's not your imagination. There is no air screw. And yes, I have seen it before. Jeff sent in some pictures.
Hi, you're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. We'll be right back.
We gotta pray, Rick. We gotta
after
pray.
this prayer.
Hi, Jeff here, introducing you to Motion Pro's magnetic pickup tool today. Now, we've all had that bad experience where we drop a loose part or fastener into a hard to reach place like a skid plate or belly pan. Well, this is the right tool for the job that will retrieve that stubborn part and get you back to working on your ride. As for the features of the magnetic pickup tool, first you have this billet aluminum handle. There's a low profile magnetic tip that's extremely strong and in fact will even pick up a Motion Pro T handle. This flexible shaft can get into hard to reach places and with its protective coating won't damage the finish on your motorcycle. The magnetic pickup tool is affordably priced at $14.99 and is available from your favorite power sports dealer nationwide. So avoid future frustration and pick one up for yourself today.
In the What's It Worth segment tonight, we take a look at a 1989 Kawasaki KX125. This is, of course, the segment of the show where I invite you to play along in an interesting little game where you guess the price of the bike. Okay, so I will tell you this. It was sold, and it was sold in Northern California on March 8th. March 8th, sold in Northern California. Jordan's going to go through the slides while I read to you a little bit more about the bike. You put in your best guess on what you think it sold for. 1989 KX125 complete frame up restoration with a Pro Circuit engine mod and exhaust. It's got a powder coated frame, vapor blasted aluminum parts, all new plastic, and a refurbished tank. It's got DID LTX rims laced to Cerakoted stock hubs with stainless spokes and new Dunlops. Rebuilt suspension by Enzo. All swing arm and steering linkage bearings are new. Rebuilt brakes with new Galfer lines and pads. It's got a vapor blasted master cylinder and calipers. Rebuilt engine using a Pro X rod in original Kawasaki crank halves. All genuine Kawasaki bearings and seals used in the engine, including a Kawasaki piston. Pro Circuit cylinder porting and head mods. It has a brand new exhaust, genuine Kawasaki reeds. It's got a Renthal carburetor, new hoses, Renthal bars, Kawasaki, I just read that, and a new seat cover. And it's got a nice firm seat foam. New IMS super stock foot pegs, Doc Wob silencer bracket, all new engine fasteners, spotless build, and every attention to detail. So many other parts and upgrades, too much to list. 1989 KX125. What do you think this bike recently sold for? $5,000. $6,500? $45,000. The bike actually sold for $4,995. It is a beautiful bike. A lot of nice details on it. $4,995 on March 8th in Northern California. Who got closest? Send me your address. I'll send you some stickers. Seriously, if you got the closest without going over, message me. I'll send you some stickers. Not that Vinco sticker pack, but I've got other stickers here. I've got stickers. What do we got next, Jordan? Tom McAllister, Full Circle Racing, still running one of the greatest specials ever. Powder coating your hubs. He will clean them, disassemble them, blast them, mask them, and powder coat them. Just $50 a hub. That will be in gloss black or a satin finish. For just $10 more, Tom will do the backing plate as well. For $20 more, he'll make them any color in the rainbow for a one-time fee. Get a hold of Tom McAllister at Full Circle Racing, whether it's on-road, off-road, adventure bike, enduro, you name it. Tom's got hoops and spokes up there for every motorcycle made. Thank you, Tom McAllister and Full Circle Racing. Did you know? This is a really, really interesting story, and I'm looking forward to sharing it with you. Did you know about this gas tank? It's a very interesting gas tank. You may have seen it on Roger DeCoster's bike in 1973. They were going into the last race of the season in St. Anthony, Holland, and Mako's Willie Bauer was holding the points lead. This is after Roger won 2 consecutive championships in 71 and 72. The track was composed of very, very deep sand, and it was consuming an incredible amount of fuel. A Suzuki engineer calculated during practice and time trials on Saturday that the tank they had on that bike would never hold enough gas for Roger to finish the race. It was the end of the day. They looked for bigger gas tanks, and there was nothing they could do about it. Now, Roger was 2.5 hours from Belgium, and he went to see somebody and had this tank made bigger. Roger takes the tank, puts it in the car, runs over to Belgium, spends most of the night making that tank bigger, the way you see that hump in the back of it there. Spends some time doing that, gets back to San Antonio, back in Holland, just in time for the race on very, very little sleep. Manages to finish 4th that day. Got an overall of 4th and did win a world championship. Willie Bauer did suffer a mechanical failure, but DeCoster barely had enough gas to take him to his 3rd world championship. And you can even read places, and I've heard Roger say it. He said the 1973 GP season was absolutely the toughest, and one of the reasons why was because of this gas tank. Now, does anybody know where he went with that tank over to Belgium to have it modified? He went over to somebody's shop who was very, very intricate in a modification that came out a few years later. That's right, Lucian Tilkins. He went over to Lucian Tilkins' shop. Lucan made that high top for that gas tank, which is known as the Sand Tank, and that is on Roger's 73 GP bike. And now you know. Sunrise vapor blasting. Boy, I'll tell you, I've had so many things done by Sunrise Vapor Blasting, and Mark Farias does an absolutely beautiful job. So whether it floats, flies, or rolls, get it in a box, send it over to Mark Farias at Sunrise Vapor Blasting. Turnaround time is absolutely phenomenal. I've been getting emails. In fact, I posted one on the page the other day about somebody who sent some parts over to Mark Farias. He said he sent them on a Thursday. Mark did it on a Friday, had them back in the mail. The guy had them back in his hands out in Pennsylvania on Monday. So get a hold of Mark Farias at Sunrise Vapor Blasting in Modesto, California. He'll make that part like brand new. Thank you, Mark. We're going to take a commercial break. Don't forget to keep sharing the show. Tomorrow on the page, we will announce who has won that beautiful sticker sheet, compliments of Vinco. We'll be right back.
Classic and vintage dirt bikes are more than a hobby. It's not just about the ride. It's about the work that goes in. The work that keeps you connected to the ride. It's about bringing the bike back to life and doing it with your own hands. It's about the adrenaline and adventure. And when it comes to putting all the pieces together, only Vinco knows the bikes and parts the way you do. Vinco. Keep the ride going.
This Week in Motocross History is brought to you by Racer X Magazine, available on your newsstand now, also available online. Be sure to check out our ad in the back of every copy of Racer X. 1971, Daytona Motocross, not the Supercross. The first motocross race was held at Daytona International Speedway. It took place as part of the Florida Winter Am Series. The race predated both the start of Supercross as we know it, 1972 Super Bowl of Motocross, and the first AMA Pro Motocross Championship, which was also in 1972. The winners were Cleveland's Brian Kinney. Brian Kinney was the winner on a CZ in the open class, and Husqvarna mounted Gunnar Lindstrom in the 250 class. Kinney was followed by Jimmy Weinert and Bobby Grossi. Lindstrom was trailed by Barry Higgins and Gary Bailey, who helped design that track. 1975, Houston. We have a problem. Actually, there was no problem at all. Jimmy Ellis won the Houston Astrodome Supercross on a Can-Am ahead of riders Marty Smith and Rich Eierstad. There was also a 500 class in Houston, won by future three-time 250cc national champion Tony DeStefano, his first of many career wins aboard a Suzuki. Tony D raced a CZ as a privateer there on the previous year. 1976, Lackey in Holland, Bad Brad, living in Europe and attempting to become the first American ever to win an FIM 500cc World Motocross Championship, began his season with a win in an international meeting at San Antonio, which I just mentioned a little bit ago. Anyway, Lackey, riding for Husqvarna, beat home rider Peter Hurlings. Peter Hurlings, you know that name, Hurlings? Who just happened to be the father of current MXGP title contender and three-time MX2 world champion Jeffrey Hurlings. Maker riders Graham Noyce and Adolf Weil were next in. We do have some announcements tonight, brought to you by Bill's Pipes. Check out Bill's Pipes on Facebook. It's the easiest way to get a hold of them. On the Facebook page, they have phone numbers, and there's a way to contact them through email as well. Bill's Pipes. Here's a big announcement for you. On next week's show, I will be telling you about Can-Am's 50th reunion. I am going to be doing an interview on Vintage Motocross Radio between now and then. I can't say too much about it. It's going to be one of the biggest events you've ever seen for vintage motorcycles, certainly for Can-Am, but I can't say anything before March 28th. This comes down as an order from the top for the people at Bombardier. Okay, it's so big you're not going to believe it, but I'll be doing an interview. You'll be able to hear that on Vintage Motocross Radio, and then next week on the show, I'll announce everything that's going to be happening for the Can-Am 50th reunion. It's going to be huge. Scott Burnworth, you got the SoCal Spring Classic coming up. That's at Verona Oaks Raceway. That's on May 1st. Get down there and support Debbie and Scott Burnworth, who do so much for racing and a lot of social events too. Always that great event for the Carlsbad reunion, which will be coming up in September. They do a lot of other great stuff too. Thank you, Debbie and Scott Burnworth. Hey, if you got an event coming up, send it into the show. I'll be happy to announce it here. We also have a Facebook page, all the vintage events that come up in the United States. It's really a great little page. It's got a calendar. It's got all the events of all the races coming up in all the different districts for ARMA and all the independent clubs too. So if you have an event coming up, contact me. I'll have it on the show. Finish line. We're getting close to the end of the show, huh, Jordan? Northwest Mako CZ. And they're closed up for a couple of weeks, Northwest Mako CZ, but you can always go over there and visit their Facebook page. We still have t-shirts available in both gray and white for just $19.99. Got the Vintage Motocross logo t-shirt across the front. It's got my autograph across the back. You could still get hoodies too. They're a couple of bucks more. Follow the link in the show description. Get yourself a Vintage Motocross Q&A t-shirt. Vintage Motocross Q&A sponsorship opportunities are still available, and as you can see, all of our sponsors that have been with us for the last year are still with us, and they're getting some great results from the show too. Now, last week our show was not live. Tonight it is. I wanted to show you this last week. It does have a date on it from the previous week. It is from May 1st through May 7th. We reached over 25,000 people. That's right, 25,000 people with Vintage Motocross Q&A, and that's just from Facebook. That's not counting the YouTube. It's not counting the fact that we are on 2 television stations on Long Island, LTV. So if you want to become a sponsor on Vintage Motocross Q&A, get me an email. I'll send you a sponsorship opportunity or sponsor proposal package, and you can start seeing the results that everybody else is seeing up here as well. That's it for tonight's episode of Vintage Motocross Q&A. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget to go over to the page tomorrow. You'll find out who won that beautiful sticker sheet, compliments of Vinco. Keep sharing the show. Please support our sponsors. And keep listening for that Can-Am announcement that'll be coming up before next week's show. But then I'll have a full announcement about it on next week's show. Thanks for joining me. I'm Joe Abadi. Let me see if I get a hold of him. Sue! Where's Gino? Gino! Come on, boy! Okay. Good night, everybody. Way to go, Gino.